In our time, only one man dares dive deep, deep into dark depths. Only one podcast derives dark drama and crazy comedy from shallow understanding of our language called laws. Beyond Unreasonable Doubt and Verboten Productions present Laying Down the Law with Billy DeClercq, your always alliterative announcer. That's me. Welcome to Laying Down the Law, where we take the spiciest legal cases and combine them with the delicious sweetness of improv comedy, bringing the greatest improv performers alive, stir-frying up delicious edutainment for your ears. Before we begin today, I'd like to introduce my guests. First, I am really excited to welcome the man who bears major responsibility for my serious improv addiction. The instructor of my very first conservatory class at the Second City Hollywood. He's an alum of Second City Toronto, where he wrote and performed in 7 main stage reviews before going on to direct multiple shows for the Main Stage and National Touring Company. He's appeared in numerous network TV shows, including Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Young Sheldon, Big Bang Theory, The Middle, Mike and Molly, as well as multiple appearances on Conan and Jimmy Kimmel Live. He currently performs as one half of the Williamson Playboys, a musical comedy duo that has appeared on NBC's Last Comic Standing, CBC Television, and at the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. Williamson Playboy's music can be found on iTunes, Spotify, and CD Baby. His live stage credits include The Drowsy Chaperone and playing Al Gore in An Inconvenient Musical. He's a multiple Canadian Comedy Award winner, including 2 for Best Male. I think it says Best Male Performer, but the bio I got just says Best Male, and we're going to say he is the best male, the one and only, very talented Mr. Doug Morency.
Wow. If I knew you were going to read that whole thing, I would have sent a much shorter bio.
We need to know everything.
I'm just really needy. I'm really needy. I just need that attention.
Yeah. We could have gone back to, your grandparents and your forebears of your comedy.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Billy. No, but we'll save that for later.
Okay, perfect. Next, she is a dynamic actor and comedian, a filmmaker, born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. Now, in kindergarten, she realized that Jewish people are a minority, and her peers were going to judge her for it. It was then, at the age of 5, that she came to find the survivalist tactic of comedy. In 2019, she made her film directorial debut with AI Vibrator at the Broad Humor Film Festival, which was the first short from Sweet Relish Films, a production collaborative that she founded in 2018. Please welcome a kind nurturer, a listener who is both creative and comical, and who lives each day with a mission to love and laugh, even in challenging moments. Now, I first came to know her as a co-creator of the Law and Disorder live improv sketch show. She is the one and only Ms. Lauren Michaels.
Whew. Wow. Thank you. Happy
Welcome.
to be here. Wow.
Yes. And I think it's
Seeing
worth
that on paper is different than hearing it, let me tell you.
It is here. It is. But, you earned all those credits, and you should be proud of them. And
Okay.
I know our listeners are really excited because, we have listeners all around the world. We have listeners either as far as the Russian Federation in Australia, Finland, and not everybody has the same access to comedy that we have here in LA. So this is a real treat to share your talents with the world.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Yeah. So this is some of the best comedy performers we have here in LA. Right here on this podcast. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into our case of the week. This is a case from tort law, which is a first-year law.
That's the best kind of law, tort law.
Oh, it is. It is. It's not just dessert.
Tart law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tart law.
Tart law is pretty sweet, though.
It is. This is a case that has to do with the duty requirement in torts. And your
I'm glad you
obligations to other
emphasized that T, because I would have got way.
Otherwise, it would have been the duty requirement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I'm familiar with.
My high school drama teacher, we did Rebel Without a Cause, and she was really big into enunciation. So Plato was Plato. And so you have all these like 16-year-olds walking around saying, Plato, Plato. And it just sounded really weird. It's like you can over enunciate.
That's good, though, because otherwise, you'd be eating a philosopher. Not that I eat Plato.
No. At least not publicly.
I gave that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a quarantine goal I accomplished.
Well, this is a case from Minnesota from 1993, and this is Justice Page. The case arises on a reversal by the court of appeals of summary judgment in favor of the defendant. And summary judgment is without the jury. That's just when the judge rules. Okay? The Court of Appeals held that defendant, the owner and operator of a private boat on Lake Winnatonka, had a duty to warn the plaintiff, who was a guest on the boat, that the water surrounding the boat was too shallow for diving. We reverse and reinstate judgment in favor of defendant.
Which was the correct decision, I think.
Well, yeah, I think so. All right, well, that's enough of that case.
See how easy law is? Law is so easy. I don't know why lawyers make so much money. I really don't.
I don't know why either. So the facts are undisputed.
Yeah. Go. Oh, no,
go ahead.
I'm sure you're going to get into this, but how close to shore was that boat? Because isn't Minnetonka one of the Great Lakes, right? So that sounds like it should be a big, deep lake.
Well, it's at least a pretty good lake.
It's not one of the Great Lakes, but it is a good lake.
Good.
It's a good lake. In terms of the names of lakes, it's a great named lake.
Forgive me, as mentioned, I'm from Dayton, Ohio, public schools. I just know there's
nowhere near the Great Lakes, right? But there's a lot of pretty good lakes in Ohio.
They're all right. Yeah.
This one I wouldn't know how to pronounce, except that I did play with Tonka trucks when I was a kid, so I recognize the mini Tonka part.
Oh, then it was a small lake, mini Tonka.
Small lake.
What a connection!
That had been dug out by like a toy, a yellow
by a Tonka
metal
toy truck. So how could it be deep enough for diving?
Yeah, it couldn't be much of a lake at all. That guy should not have been diving out of the boat. He should have been able to see that. It's more of a puddle.
That's inherent in the name.
Exactly.
Well, on Sunday, August 9th, 1986, Jeffrey Harper was one of 4 guests on Theodore Herman's 26-foot boat sailing on Lake Winnatonka. Harper was invited on the boat by a boat outing by Cindy Alberg Palmer, another guest on Herman's boat. Herman and Harper did not know each other prior to this boat outing. At the time, Herman was 64 years old and Harper
Wait a minute. He said yes to an invitation from someone he didn't know?
To go on his boat, yes.
He's already asking for trouble.
And you said how many people are on this boat?
Well, there are 4 guests total. We have
4.
Cindy Palmer, who was the one that invited Harper. We have Theodore Herman, who's the boat owner, and someone else who has not been named yet.
Oh, well, he did it. I think he pushed the guy off. I think that's what happened. It wasn't a diving accident at all. It was an attempted murder.
It's quite fishy to be one of 4 people that you don't know. The other people. Go on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll proceed. So at the time, Herman was 64 years old and Harper was 20 years old. Herman was an experienced boat owner, having spent hundreds of hours operating boats on Lake Winnatonka, similar to the one involved in this action. As the owner of the boat, Herman considered himself to be in charge of the boat and his passengers. Harper had some experience swimming in lakes and rivers, but no formal training in diving.
I think he used to put that on his resume, actually. Experience in swimming in lakes and rivers. I think if you're going on Indeed, make sure you put that in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, when you're in your 20s, you need to add stuff because you haven't had so many jobs.
That's right,
so it's like the special skills section's very long.
I worked at Burger King, McDonald's, experienced swimming in lakes and rivers, can ride a bike.
Yeah. I was a member of the high school Frisbee golf club, things like that.
Did I mention the rivers and lakes thing? Pretty good at that.
Not so much the pools.
You can't trust the pools.
Not at all. So after a few hours of boating, The group decided to go swimming and at Herman's suggestion went to Big Island, a popular recreation spot. Herman was familiar with Big Island and he was aware that the water remains shallow for a good distance away from the shore. Harper had been to Big Island on one previous occasion. Herman positioned the boat somewhere between 100 to 200 yards from the island, with the bow facing away from the island, in an area shallow enough for his guests to use the boat ladder to enter the water, but still deep enough so they could swim. The bottom of the lake was not visible from the boat. After positioning the boat, Herman proceeded to set the anchor and lower the boat's ladder, which was at its stern.
Okay, so we know this is shallow water and you cannot see the floor of this lake. So that sounds like pretty dirty water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a Minnetonka, known for its clarity and also the sludge. So it's kind of like
and that's that 80s sludge. It's like even worse, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Back when pollution was pollution, not like today's watered down pollution.
Like halfway pollution.
Yeah.
Exactly. So while Herman was lowering the ladder, Harper asked him if he was going in. When Herman responded yes, Harper, without warning, stepped into the side of the middle of the boat and dove into approximately 2 or 3 feet of water. Harper then brought suit, alleging that Herman owed him a duty of care to warn him that the water was too shallow for diving. The trial court granted the motion for summary judgment, saying that the defendant did not have a duty to warn. The Court of Appeal reversed. So we're now in the Supreme Court. The Court of Appeal said he voluntarily assumed a duty when he let Harper on the boat. Okay? So the sole issue on appeal is whether a boat owner who is a social host, as opposed to like someone who's, taking you on a tour or any other thing, just a social host,
right,
owes a duty of care to warn a guest on the boat that the water is too shallow for diving. So the only thing that's being presented,
I'd say just as somebody's elder, if this wasn't even on a boat, you're 60-something, this is a young kid. Where's your social obligation?
Yeah, where's the sense of duty, right? So to speak?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Duty indeed.
Yeah. Hey, kid, don't jump off the boat. Just don't dive off the boat.
86 sounds like a pretty cocaine-packed kind of time. I don't know. Is there any mention of drugs or?
Well, why don't we say that there were
what's
drugs?
This fourth person? The unnamed fourth person.
Yeah, unnamed fourth person. That's true. Is it Cindy Alberg Palmer's consort? Is it Herman's? Is it another boat operator? It's just not known. There are these 3 people and a mysterious fourth person.
Was it their granddaughter being set up on a date with Harper and he was just trying to impress her?
I think so. That could very well be. Okay, so Harper alleges that Herman owed him a duty to warn of the shallowness of the water because Harper was an inexperienced swimmer and diver, whereas Herman was a veteran boater. He says that Herman should have realized that Harper needed his protection. However, this is the Supreme Court of Minnesota. Since Doug is Canadian, I'm not going to try and do my Minnesota accent. But we've previously stated that an affirmative duty to act only arises when there's a special relationship between the parties. The fact that someone realizes or should realize that action on his or her part is necessary for another's aid or protection does not in itself impose on him a duty to take such action unless a special relationship exists between the actor and the other, which gives the other the right to protection. So even if Herman should have realized that Harper needed protection, Harper must prove that a special relationship existed between them that placed an affirmative duty to act on the part of Herman.
So wait, they're saying if they don't know each other well enough, then there's less of a duty?
Right. A special relationship being something more than just, you know each other or you're in the same place at the same time, something special like an attorney-client relationship is a special relationship where there are duties owed by the attorney to the client.
Now, if you had hired Herman to take you out, would that create a special, what do you call it? A special duty?
Special relationship? Yeah.
A special relationship?
I think there would be a different relationship. And I think the court is saying here it's a social host. So, there's been no agreement. And I don't know if you've ever gone whale watching, but there are a lot of waivers you have to sign before you get on someone's boat. And so I think in those situations where someone is supposed to be taking responsibility for other people, they're being hired as an expert, that's a different thing. This Herman was just he was the leader of the boat crew. I believe in the Gilligan's Island vernacular, he'd be the skipper.
Yep.
I believe.
Okay.
But not so much, not so much with a special relationship. And so the Harper is saying he's a social host, and a special relationship comes on the part of common carriers. So that's like boats and trains that are or airplanes, innkeepers, possessors of land who hold it open to the public, and persons who have custody of another person, where the other person doesn't have the opportunities of self-protection. So here, there's no special duty, the court's saying.
Wow.
So the court,
just general strangers have no obligation whatsoever to be like, I wouldn't walk that way. The road just collapsed. There is no
correct.
Road.
I think this is just another clear example of how the Supreme Court of Minnesota got it wrong. They botched another case. Right? It's obviously Herman's fault. What happened to this
Midwest fellow neighbor kind of congenial attitude? This is more every man for himself, and you're supposed to know better, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they figure he's 20. I mean, there was they say the record before the court does not establish that Harper was either particularly vulnerable or that he lacked the ability to protect himself. It probably would have been different if he was, not an adult. The record does not establish that Herman held considerable power over Harper's welfare, or that Herman was receiving a financial gain by hosting Harper on his boat. There's nothing in the record which would suggest that Harper expected any protection from Herman, and there's been no such allegation. Now, the Court of Appeal, the one that really screwed up here, according to the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal found that Herman owed Harper a duty to warn of the shallowness of the water because Herman knew it was dangerously shallow. But the Supreme Court says, we have previously stated that actual knowledge of a dangerous condition tends to impose a special duty to do something about that condition. However,
okay.
So Herman was required to dig a deeper. He was going to have to dig a deeper lake, is what they're saying here.
It creates a special relationship because he had the prior knowledge.
It creates a duty to do something about it.
Okay.
But superior knowledge of a dangerous condition by itself, in the absence of a duty to provide protection, is not sufficient to establish liability and negligence. So his mere knowledge.
Superior is a Great Lake, though, right?
Yeah, Superior is one of the. Yeah, it's one of the Great Lakes.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay.
I believe the acronym is HOMES, HOMES.
Oh, now you tell me.
Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior.
Right. The Lake Houston is the lesser of the.
That's where all the NASA spaceships land on Lake Houston.
Lake Houston.
Yeah, Lake Houston.
And
that's why there's so many problems in Houston, because those ships sink because of their densities.
Right.
And it's just
we have
thousands of astronauts have died in these terrible drowning accidents. It's horrible.
So we've established the tiers of lakes. We have the Great Lakes, we have the pretty good lakes, and we have the not so good lakes.
Yeah, like Lake Houston, which is just a death trap, really. It's just a death trap.
No.
Not so good.
So it seems that this is a pretty difficult case because it's been through three levels of courts, each one kind of having their own opinion on it. It seems like what we need is a fourth level of court, like the ultra Supreme Court or something, to be able to like really solve this one.
Well, there is one more level, the Supreme Court of the United States. You can appeal from the Supreme Court of any state in the United... Oh, this is actual learning. I apologize to our listeners who did not want to learn anything today. My bad. But you can appeal from the Supreme Court of any state in the United States directly to the Supreme Court. So if you lose in the trial court, you can appeal to the Court of Appeal. And then there's a Supreme Court in each state. And then from that, you can go to the United States Supreme Court.
And then where?
And then after that, you're done. I guess you could go to the Hague.
I think you go to Hollywood after that.
You go to Hollywood and make a movie. Right. That's right. Yeah. You go to Erin Brockovich. She'll make a movie about it. Yeah.
The Court of Public Opinion is where you go next.
That's right. Wow.
All right. So that
I'm thinking about this boat situation. So he's got a ladder that he's throwing off the side of the boat.
Mm-hmm. The back of the boat.
Poor Harper isn't noticing that the ladder doesn't go that far down.
He's like, I'm diving in.
That's shallow,
Mm-hmm.
Figure most of the ladder's still not even underwater.
Yeah, usually the ladders go, just a foot or two into the water.
Oh, I see.
But I mean,
how many feet do you need for diving? It's been a while since I was at a swimming pool.
More than 3.
I guess it depends on whether you're doing a deep dive or a shallow dive, because you can dive, and maybe just go 1.5 feet under the water, or if you go like straight down, you're going to go quite far. And this was 2 feet deep, I think you said, right? So he probably just dove in like he thought it was going to be a deep lake.
Yes. Let's see if I could. 2 feet deep. Were you taking notes? I was not taking notes. I don't remember.
I have taken some, but that detail one.
And I don't think it says.
Thanks for mentioning that about the ladder, because now I'm picturing the right kind of boat ladder.
Yeah, the ladders, you kind of put them over the edge, but they don't go very far.
It's not a great ladder. It's just a pretty good ladder.
It's a pretty good ladder.
It's maybe 3 rungs, something like that.
That's right. If it had been a great ladder, I think something else might have happened. But the angle of your dive matters too. But he probably dove straight down, thinking it was really deep. So there
must have been wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Right.
Oh yeah. Well, we got to ask a little bit about who is this Cindy Alberg Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one that brought this kid on the boat.
You can never trust anybody with 3 names, right? Like 3 names.
That's true.
They're hiding something.
John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, James Earl Ray.
What's her face?
Cindy Alberg Palmer.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Wow, what's that guy up to?
Too much.
That's exactly too much.
Way too much.
Drowsy Chaperone, I think not.
No.
Sarah Jessica Parker. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. She's a criminal mastermind. She can't fool us.
Obviously.
All right. So taking the last paragraph of this, I promise we'll be done. There are many dangers, such as those of fire and water, which under ordinary conditions may be reasonably expected to be fully understood and appreciated by any child. If a child is expected to understand the inherent dangers of water, so should a 20-year-old adult. Harper had no reasonable expectation to look to Herman for protection, and we hold is always that when you're in law school, this is just a little tip to the law students who are listening, always skim the case to look for the phrase "we hold," because whatever comes after "we hold" is the thing that you're going to be tested on. Okay, we hold. That's the thing. It's the holding of the case. We hold that Herman had no
truths to be self-evident. I've heard that.
Exactly. We hold you in the highest regard. We hold each other tightly in fear as our house burns down.
Are those also judgments from the Minnesota Supreme Court? Yeah.
Minnesota Supreme Court. It's not a great Supreme Court, but it's pretty good.
Pretty good Supreme Court. Yeah, it is.
Pretty good Supreme Court. It's pretty good. We hold that Herman had no duty to warn Harper that the water was shallow. Reversed and judgment in favor of the defendant reinstated.
Wow.
Close the book on that.
Wow, that's rude.
It.
God, even a
It's so
kid
rude.
would know the dangers of water. So this 20-year-old.
Yeah,
But
any child should know.
But Herman did take steps. He turned the boat so the bow was facing the lake. He did a bunch of different things. He had been to the island 100 times. It's like, I don't know, like while he's driving just over his shoulder, like, hey guys, don't dive. This water's shallow. Seems like something he should have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems purposely negligent.
Yep.
Well, and I think that there could have been a rule that someone who's a captain of a boat takes on a special duty to the passengers to warn them of foreseeable dangers. There are, the court could have looked at all of the laws that you have, on water. You have to have a certain number of life preservers. You're supposed to, if you ever been on one of these boat tours, they're like, here's where all the life preservers are. Here's the thing that, you're not supposed to, if I yell jump overboard, then, jump, don't dive, things like that. They usually go over like a little safety thing.
Was Herman wearing, does the court documents record this, that he was wearing one of those captain hats? Because if he was, I think with that comes a lot of responsibility.
That's true. With great hats comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm. We hold that to be true.
Yes, that is true.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
this reminds me of a story happened to my sister-in-law. She was doing a snorkeling trip in the Red Sea many, many years ago, and for some reason there was an odd number. She didn't have a partner, a buddy. And everybody packed up and left her in the middle of the Red Sea. And she watched the boat just going away. See you later.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it just kind of turned into this tiny little boat in the distance. And I think what happened, they didn't come back and get her. Some other boat came by a while later and was able to pick her up.
Wow.
But they just totally, she didn't sue them. She should have sued them.
Yeah, I just had a flashback myself to when my wife and I were dating. We went to Lake Tahoe on a trip, and we rented one of those kayaks.
That's one of the Great Lakes, Lake Tahoe, I think.
Lake Tahoe. Right? Lake Tahoe is actually an excellent lake.
Excellent lake. Sorry.
It straddles two states. You can gamble on one side of the lake and not on the other. We rented one of these kayaks, right? And it had, they're made out of plastic. There's a little hole in it. As we're paddling around. And it starts to kind of fill with water or splashing. And I started to panic. And my wife, who's my girlfriend at the time, just started laughing at me because we were 100 yards from the shore. And I was like, just completely trying to save the boat. And I was like, I'm going to go down with the ship. I'm going to go down with the ship. And the Coast Guard came up and rescued us.
Wow.
And towed the kayak back to shore. She's like, yeah, I was never really worried because I knew I could jump out and swim to the shore. Did that occur to you? It didn't. Fast forward.
I don't think that was an accident. I think someone drilled a hole in your kayak, Billy. I think that was it was attempted murder. This is just like an Agatha Christie book.
Yeah, it was an act of jealousy.
Like that, right?
Someone wandering, Lake Tahoe area, just, looking for people.
Look at this. Happy people. Let's sink it. The boat sale guys gotta, make a living.
That's right. Sees all those people going out there with their oars, not needing a sail. He gets angry. He needs to strike back.
Yeah. Man.
We open on a boat rental facility on the shores of Lake Winnatonka?
As I said, she's a 14-footer, and she's water-worthy, as we like to say. Be a perfect boat.
That's what my husband says about me. I'm water-worthy.
Sweetie, you're always making jokes. Always making jokes. Water-worthy she is.
Yeah.
Well,
it needs a coat of paint. Just don't let the flaking paint scare you at all. It needs a coat of paint. It's not the prettiest boat on the bay, but I think it would be perfect for a lovely little romantic row about around the harbor.
This is our 21st anniversary, so I appreciate the rustic look. You know, it reminds me of my front porch.
Oh, it sure does. It sure does, doesn't it, honey? Do you remember when I was telling you about how I was going to repaint the front porch on our second date? You said, don't repaint the front porch. Let's just, let's go get some clams.
And here we are 21 years later with 2 kids who love to eat paint chips.
Well, it's too bad you didn't bring them along because we got lots of paint chips here. And if it's clams you want, Lake Winnatonka is famous for its freshwater clams.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, do they come with the black sludge, or is that a side? You know, a side dish with the clams.
If you get the black sludge, consider yourself lucky. But we can't guarantee that you'll get a clam from the black sludge. Check the contract. I just gave you a 55-page contract there to look over. On page 42, you'll see we don't guarantee the black sludge, but we don't cost extra or charge extra if you find it.
Oh, yep. I initialed there, so I recognize that.
Yeah, my wife's all about the business.
The ones you can eat raw, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Any clam at any time, you can eat it raw. That's the general rule. Any clam, anytime.
Oh, that's just so delicious.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder, should we pay the extra for the clamming package with this very water-worthy boat here?
Yeah. And you can tell it's water-worthy, just as a side note here, because it's wet on the inside as well. You see, the wood is well-seasoned. Well-seasoned and another sign of water-worthiness.
Oh, that's perfect. I can just keep the clams fresh right in this pool of water at my feet here in the boat.
There you go. See, we think of everything here.
Honey, hold my feet. I'm going to lean over and grab some.
Oh, that's perfect. Now, sweetie, we're only 1.5 feet from the shore, so be careful when you're clamming there.
Oh, yep. Okay. Got a little bump on my noggin, but you look even better than you did before. How about that?
Thank you so much, sweetie. That little bump there is not looking too good. It's looking like a couple different shades of purple.
What are you talking about? It's barely a bump. Don't even worry about it. You're well enough to be navigating a boat on water. It's barely a scratch.
Yeah, we're still tied to the shore and the dock too. I don't know if we should have been doing this quite so soon, there, sweetie.
Well, I'll untie you. There you go.
Whoa, well, I guess we'll see you later then.
Oh,
I thought he was gonna come with us, but he just kicked us right off there, didn't he?
Yeah. So.
Careful of the big swells! Careful of the big swells coming!
He's talking about my head, right? Is it swollen?
Yeah. I thought he was saying you look swell, and I'm gonna say, sweetie, you do. You look.
Oh, honey, this is so romantic.
It really is. I sure wish we had some paddles or something. Maybe we should just
hold my feet again. I'll use my head.
Wow, sweetie, you do make an excellent paddle. Hold on.
Well, I caught some clams in my mouth that time.
Oh, what do you, I brought some hot sauce. What do you say we just have a little picnic here right in the middle of the lake? It's so glad we left the kids behind.
Cut to the city morgue at the coroner's office. So these two were celebrating their 21st anniversary on Lake Winnatonka. It seems that the female has a contusion on her head, large laceration with multicolored bruising. The gentleman looks, on the outside, fully intact, no injuries, no sign of any foul play. I pumped her stomach, detective, and you can see the report there. They ate clams from Lake Winnatonka, which is, there's signs everywhere, do not eat the clams in this lake. I don't know what provoked them to eat these clams, but they decided to anyway. There's also this disturbing indication on the wife's body that she was used as an oar to propel the boat. I'm not sure that was the cause of death. You can tell by the watermarks on her hair that the way it ripples, that she was used to propel a vehicle. If it didn't kill her, I think it definitely contributed to the outcome, the sad outcome that we see here today. If you need me to testify in court, I can testify in court. All of this, I can bring pictures, drawings, skin samples, whatever you need.
Dear God, I've seen some bodies in my life, but I've never smelled two like these.
No, it's the clams.
Yeah.
The clams are infiltrated with a black sludge, which causes a chemical reaction. And they're not even really clams anymore. They're some sort of hybrid mutant cephalopod or whatever. I'm no biologist, but they kill almost instantly. Especially in a weakened condition, like, say, you were used as an oar or a paddle, or even spun really quickly to be used as a propeller, which is probably not an efficient way to move the boat. And judging by the signs on the body, it doesn't look like that's how she was used at that time.
Judging by these bodies, I think these clams could be advantageous for our military. I'm going to be sending over some officials to the lake.
Then you might also want to take a look inside these refrigerators, detective. Let me open this one up.
Oh, God!
Yes, this man was dug out of the lake just yesterday. He was dug out of the lake. It's a hard process to dig a hole in the water, but we dug him out, and you can see how fast the putrefaction process takes. He's mostly gelatinous now, and that's from the clams.
Wow. Oh, it's pretty gnarly. Oh, God.
Maybe you'll also be interested in this.
Bless.
Take a look at my forearm. That's a tattoo I got. Anyway, I digress. I was pretty proud of it. I could make her move when I move my fingers on my forearm. But anyway, back to the case, Detective. I'm sorry, but there seems to be a lot of, most of these fridges are filled with people who have eaten clams and died.
We cut to Jack's Roadhouse clam and paint chips. Two very chubby children are surrounded by boxes and bags that are labeled paint chips on the side. And then there are big trays with hot sauce and shells of formerly eaten clams. Well, you kids have been here a long time. You've eaten a lot of food. Your parents left a credit card, but it's maxed out. So I don't know if I can give you any more of the paint chips you do.
Aw, I'm still hungry.
Yeah, come on, man. You can't leave me high and dry like this.
Yeah, give me more of the yellow paint chips.
I cut you off 3 days ago, and you broke in the back door and you keep eating the paint chips. And the other customers they're wanting some of the yellow paint chips too. Your parents' Discover card got
declined.
Come on, man. I gotta get a little bit more. It's just anything you need. I'll mow your lawn, or I'll any kind of special favor you can think about.
Yeah, we'll paint your house, let it dry, eat those paint chips, whatever you need. We'll do it all. You need someone whacked? We'll whack somebody for you, mister.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. Thomas Cornfield down the way, he's got his own roadhouse, and he's been trying to drive me out of business for years. I sure would hate for something to happen to Thomas Cornfield down the way.
Hey, when you say you hate to have something happen, that was sarcastic, right? Like, you're being sarcastic that you'd like something to happen to him? Because I'm not always the quickest guy.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to need really clear instructions.
Okay, so sometimes people want you to do something, but they say the opposite of what, like, gee, I sure would hate it if you made your bed in the morning. It's called reverse psychology.
Huh? So when you say you would hate for something to happen to him, you really mean you would love something to happen to him?
Well, not quite so loud, but I wouldn't be upset. I'd be pretty good. Not great.
And when you said
good.
earlier that you didn't have a gun in the house, that means that you do?
Well, it's not so much that it's a gun, it's that it's a rifle.
Okay.
So if I say I don't have a gun in the house, that's technically true.
So when you say it's a rifle, then does that mean that it's not a rifle, but actually a handgun? Because I'm really trying to figure out when you actually mean what you're saying and when you're actually not meaning what you say.
Listen, you kids go play with the guns and rifles, and if you happen to end up a half mile down the road at the other roadhouse, Cornfields of Warren,
So when you say Mr. Cornfield, are you actually talking about somebody else, or should we actually take you literally there where you actually mean Mr. Cornfield?
Yes.
Good. And when you... Hey, Janice. Thank you for coming to dinner.
Oh, Brian, I've only been waiting 4 months for you to ask me, so thank you.
I tried to... I don't do a lot of cooking, but I did make something kind of special. I hope you like linguine with clams.
Oh my God.
It's a family recipe, and bought this nice bottle of white wine.
You were Italian. Okay.
Well, on my mother's side, yeah. And we say Italian. We don't say Italian, Janet. Like, not a big deal, but
really? Are you sure? I've never heard that way.
Well, trust me, because my mother was Italian, and she would get mad at people when they would say Italian, right? But anyway, I don't want this to get off on a bad...
You're not going to whack me, I hope, right? You're not going to whack me?
No. Yeah, she thinks that's another thing, too. Like, my family's not in the mob. We're not mafioso, but yeah, it's like very few of us. There's very few of us who actually are, and but anyway, yeah, I don't want this to get off on a bad note. It's just a small little thing, and anyway, I have a bottle of wine if you.
I would love. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Cheers.
It's Italian wine as well.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, this is so fancy for me. I've only had plum wine before, so this is a first.
Oh, so you're a hillbilly?
I'm sorry. we don't like that term.
Oh, well, I was just,
my mom was actually Briar, his preferred.
A briar?
Yeah, when you're in the hills of Tennessee, And your mama sends you out every morning to burn the trash in the front lawn so we don't have
without shoes, right? You weren't wearing shoes, right?
Well, by accident the shoes were in the fire, so that just meant there were no more shoes. And to smell rubber burning is better than a cup of coffee, really. If you want to get going right in the morning, I can't recommend it more.
Because that would really wake you up.
Sometimes, to this day, I drive by the tire plant just to get a good pick-me-up from the burning rubber smells. God, this linguini's delicious.
Isn't it good? You just don't... You could just kind of twirl it up on the fork, make a little ball and, like the way, you can slurp it like that. But it's like, if you want, you can just get a nice mouthful by twirling it on the fork. And
hey, brother, sorry to interrupt your date over here, but I got to go down the street and throw that jerk over there into the tire fire again. He crossed mine. I didn't like what he was saying. So I just wanted to come through and let you know what I'm exactly doing before I leave. And because we're certainly not mafiosos and we don't do anything trashy like throwing people in burning tire fires, usually. But in this case, I'm making an exception and I will see you later.
Oh, a tire fire. God, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely...
You think it'll still be going after we're done eating? We could swing through?
You know what? I could just put some saran wrap on this and we could just walk down and watch.
Am I part of the family now? Oh, my goodness.
I guess I wasn't entirely truthful for you. Like, we do this every Sunday. We burn a body on a tire fire. I didn't want to say that at the beginning.
Asked me over, I hope.
No. I asked you over because I thought we had this special relationship. That we every day we see each other at work, and I just thought, but the way our conversation was going is like, it just seems like we should go.
I'm so happy. We have more in common than I ever thought.
Yeah. If you want, the guy we're putting on the fire is pretty heavy. We could all heave him on.
Let me just shoot back this glass of Italian wine, and I am right there with you. Cut to the home of Jack Cornfield. There's a porch with a dog tied up who's sleeping. These two kids come back around. One of them is carrying a rifle and one of them is carrying a shotgun.
So, for today's meditation, I want to talk to you a little bit about focusing on your internal state. Before we eat clams and paint chips, it's important to be aware and mindful and take some deep cleansing breaths.
Now be careful, all right? Don't wake up this dog, because if he starts barking, we're going to get caught. I'm going to take a look through the front window. If you take a look through the side, we'll see what this Cornfield is up to. I have a feeling he's up to no good.
Yeah. Okay. I have this to sneeze, but I'm going to hold it in and not wake the dog.
And as you reach with loving kindness to every being on this planet, we remember that all things are one.
Oh my God, he's not even wearing a shirt.
Oh my God.
We remember that we are connected with all living things.
God, his eyes are closed. This seems kind of mean. If we sneak up on him and his eyes are closed.
Maybe I'll open it soon. How does he sit with his legs crossed like that? He looks so peaceful.
And as we reach for our paint chips and clams, we remember to
look at all those paint chips.
Oh, there's so many paint chips.
Oh my god.
I'm going in. Smash.
I need some.
Reach for the sky, cornfield. These aren't guns. These aren't guns, by the way. These are rifles and shotguns, just in case you were wondering the difference.
Well, children, I see that you are not at equanimity with yourselves.
Don't try to fancy words with us, cornfield. You ain't gonna confuse us. We want your paint chips.
Get us the paint chips.
Nobody gets hurt.
Take the paint chips. They're yours. They always were yours. There is no possession.
When you say take the paint chips, do you actually mean take the paint chips, or do you say that you want to keep them?
I do want to keep them, but nothing belongs to anyone. So,
well, when you say that, then you mean that something does belong to people. That it does actually belong to you. You don't want to give them to us.
All things are one. It is all Dharma.
Oh. So when you say that, you mean you want to kick our ass. That's what you're saying, cornfield.
Have some clams.
All right, now you're just confusing us on purpose.
Set your rifle down. Eat to your heart's delight of the paint chips and clams.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know.
So I've never been so confused in my life. The other guy
wasn't letting us have any paint chips. Now
he's saying have the
all
paint
chips we want.
But I don't even know if that's what he means.
I'm gonna take a handful and see. I can't wait any longer. Oh, it feels good. Oh, it feels good. Oh, I needed those paint chips. I think
give me some of those.
Hey, mister, you seem really nice, and you should know somebody's trying to kill you.
Yeah, it was us.
If you let us stay, we'll
There's
protect
a knock at the door. Cornfield, you in here again with these kids? Meditating and giving them paint chips and clams?
All things are one.
Well, there's a detective down at the morgue that says you've been causing some problems. I'm taking these kids with me.
No, leave us here. We want to eat the paint chips. We need the paint chips. Give us.
Let us stay here. I just want to stay here with you, Mr. Cornfield.
Wait, why are you pointing that gun at me, kids? I'm a detective. I'm here to save you.
Blam!
Oh, no! I was supposed to help you!
When he said he was here to help us, I didn't know what he meant.
Yeah, like, he was saying that, but then he meant the opposite, because it's all reverse psychology.
I hate this town.
I think he made the right choice.
Yeah. This town is so confusing. I think we should leave this town. Go someplace else, where they say what they mean.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a bag of paint chips and hit the road.
All right. I hear there's fun down in Lake Houston.
We cut to a tire fire on the shore of Lake Houston.
Just warming my hand to you at the tire fire here, brother. So glad to see you brought your date down.
Yeah, listen, she knows why we got the fire going on.
Oh,
yeah.
Just really soaking in those aromatic. Just
that is some really dark, thick smoke.
Place.
Reminds me of Ma's cooking, don't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The way she'd stink up the house.
Yeah. That lady knew how to make a linguine with clam sauce like nobody's business. She'd take a sludge from the bottom of Lake Winnatonka, she'd pull it on side, mix it with some Alfredo sauce, ba-boom, ba-bang! You felt like $1 million.
Yeah.
God rest her.
You know, Janice said she'd help us burn this guy. I told her, I'm sorry.
That's beautiful. This lovely date of yours, Janice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we always appreciate.
Hey, well, Brian knows me, from work. I'm always a team player. I can't help myself. So, one for the sake of many, as they say, right?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, she's a bit of a philosopher.
Yeah, she philosophized me right into, wanting to burn more tires. That's how I'm feeling about a philosophizing.
Hey, you stop looking at her like that. Stop giving her the googly eyes. What the hell?
You know something, bro? She remind me of Ma. It's not like that, brother.
Yeah, I never seen you look.
I swear it's not like that.
I never seen you look at Ma like that.
Hey,
Janice, why are you looking at him like that?
Hey, Brian, what do you guys do? What's going on here? And why are you kind of edging me closer and closer to the tire fire, Brian? This isn't feeling, it's kind of warm over here.
Because I think you're muscling in on my date. This is only our first date.
I'm trying to be brotherly and get to know your date. Janice, your name is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
we would never fight, brother. Not over a girl. For God's sake.
Well, then let go of her hand and we won't fight. What are you holding hands like that for?
I'm simply guiding her closer to the tire fire, where she seems to be at home, brother.
She is a modern woman and can get close to the fire on her own if she needs to.
I have been bedazzled by your reasoning and by your very progressive views. That's not something Ma would have ever said.
Hey.
Boys, Hey, I think we can let's just take a moment and soak in the aromas, and I wouldn't say I don't want to be with you both, but I know that Italians and incest aren't like hillbillies, so I'm not sure.
Ouch! That fire's hot! Damn you, brother! Damn you! I'm on fire in a tire.
Very sorry, Brian. He always speaks in couplets when he's burning. It's hilarious.
I don't mean to be funny. It's just the fire rhymes with tire. Now get me out of here! It's my desire to be removed from the fire. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it. Get me out of here.
Fire.
Two small figures appear on the horizon, walking closer, one of them carrying either a rifle or a pistol.
Excuse me, Janice, is your name? Now that we got my brother out of the way, we just, what do you say we ride off into the sunset? But what are those chubby-looking kids over there? Some chubby-looking
like
kids
they're
carrying
armed.
guns. I hope they're not, like, undercover or something. That's very strange. You know how to fight, right?
Of course. I definitely know how to take a rifle from a trifling little kid. Okay.
Oh, hey, I think I can see Lake Houston from here.
Yeah, look at all that dark smoke. That must be Lake Houston.
Yeah, it's everything I dreamed of.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look. It looks like there's an active fire going on right now.
Well, let's keep our paint chips away from it because they're flammable.
Oh, that's right. It's oil-based paint, lead-based oil paint. You're right.
We'll both just get blown up to smithereens.
Hey, you kids over there, scram! This is my tire fire.
We don't mean no problem, mister. We're just walking through with our paint chips. Whoops.
You're getting too close to me over there.
Don't blow our cover. They'll want to take it from us.
I didn't mean it. Just came out.
Did you say you have paint chips?
Say they have paint chips.
Reminded me of my mom's home cooking.
Oh.
Back in the hills of Tennessee.
Oh. Did you guys have the fish and paint chips growing up?
Oh, yeah.
Fishing for paint chips all the way.
Well,
Just back off, lady, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to just blow your brains out.
I've used this gun before. I killed a detective. Oops. Shouldn't say that out loud. They keep saying that out loud.
We gotta keep moving or they'll be onto us.
Where are your parents, kids? Where are your parents? You kids look to be trouble, and you're confused with your paint chips, and you're talking, and you're coming over here to my fire. I ought to call Child Protective Services on you.
We cut back to the coroner's office and the morgue. So we found these bodies last night. It's hard to tell exactly how many there are. Looks like at least 4, could be 5. All of them seem to have burned in the tire fire that is still raging on Lake Houston right now. I know they smell horrible. That's not just the clams that you're smelling. It's also the tire. They were Firestone. They are the stenchiest of tires. We're having trouble identifying the cause of death here because there's so many of them. You'll notice all of the holes in the bodies.
Right.
There seems to have been a lot of gunfire. Then the footprints around I've taken some pictures. I'll lay them on the table here for you. The footprints around the tire fire seemed like there was either a chase or a maypole dance. It's hard to tell from the pattern. It seemed to happen before they burned themselves, but after they were shot. As you see, the blood splatter is made of quite a delightful design on the ground. The bodies have been burned, and some of them have melded together to create a mega body, what we call here in coroner speak.
It is strangely colorful considering all those paint chips got mixed in.
Mm-hmm. And it seems that the paint chips, and I'm glad that I'm telling you, Detective, because you might want to tell your army friends about this. It seems that the paint chips caused a cellular reaction in the bodies of these people, which allowed them to endure more pain than is humanly possible. They should have died instantly, but it seems that they were alive for hours and hours.
Dear God.
I've never quite seen a case like this as a coroner. Of course, this is only my second day, but it is quite unusual. We don't get a lot of that around here. In between Lake Winnatonka and Lake Houston, it's usually quite pretty safe, actually. I'm putting it down as a homicide, suicide, accident, tragedy, terrorism. That's
Yep, that all adds up.
There is something else I wanted to show you, Detective. It's on my other forearm. It's a matching tattoo. Do you think they go together? I think they clash somehow.
Well, see, one's holding clams and one's holding a very tiny ladder, so...
Yeah. I have this recurring dream where...
Tweedledum and Tweedledee of pinup girls you got there, so...
Yeah. I know I just met you, Detective, and I don't know I'm spilling my guts like this to you, but I have this dream at night about clams on a ladder. They're stuck on a rung, trying to get to the other rung, and it's too far away for them. They reach with their whatever clams have to reach with, and they can't reach the other rung, and that's why I've put the ladder and the clams on separate arms. I've been trying to understand this dream, but it's elusive.
Wow,
Can't tell if you're coming on to me or telling me something about your mother.
You know?
In any case, glad you could share.
Well, as you've seen right through me, Detective, I'm coming on to you.
Right.
Yes, I arranged all of this just so I could meet you. The burning of the bodies, the paint chips, the whole thing, the killing of the detective. I saw you at the precinct and thought, she looks nice. And how can I meet her? And then I thought, what's the easiest way? And I thought, aha, killing 5 people in a tire fire would probably be the easiest way to meet you. I'm sorry if I was too forward.
Melvin, no one's done more for me in years. And I'm married.
Oh, dang. My timing is awful.
But the gesture doesn't go unnoticed, and I look forward to seeing what else you can come up with to impress me.
Well, thank you. I feel a little embarrassed, Detective. I hope this won't affect our professional relationship.
If anything, I think this will improve it, as I haven't showed you my tattoos yet.
Oh my goodness. She just vanished into midair. Where'd you go, Detective? Detective, that was quite an impressive trick. You just disappeared for a number of seconds and then just appeared again in front of me. It's like, are you a multi-dimensional?
It's quite impressive.
That tattoo looked just like the interior of this morgue. You just turned around and disappeared. That is the most amazing tattoo I've ever seen.
So now you know, sometimes when you think you're alone, it might just be me bending over.
We dissolve to a series of images, a montage really. The sunset over Lake Winnatonka, the coroner alone in a peeling, paint-chipped boat. Or is he really alone? The sunset dips over Jack Cornfield's roadhouse with clams and paint chips. And we fade to black. That was amazing. You are brilliant. And all of those credits you earned, that was awesome. You guys are so
it was fun. It got a little out there, but it was still fun. It was just great.
We brought it back around. I was like, I love one of the things I love in improv is when you're doing a long form and you're like, all of a sudden everybody knows where it's going to end. you're like, oh, I know where this is going. Yeah. And it's like you're like landing the plane.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so much fun.
Somebody once said it's like it's like you're riding a train backwards where you can only see where you've been, you don't know where you're going.
Right.
But I think it's more like you're flying an airplane backwards. Like you just like where you see the landscape where it's been, but
right.
It's fun. All right, the third part of laying down the law, I like to get to know my guests, and sorry for the endless puns, but this is where we leave the sha-la-la-la-la-lo and go deep.
Oh.
But so I want to start with theme. Isn't it? It's like it's just like it all came together. Although I don't have any questions about paint chips. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. So, Doug, do you have? Or did you ever have a childhood nickname?
I never had one that stuck for a long time, but I'm going to date myself right now. I was born in the 60s, and in the late 60s, early 70s, there was an afternoon talk show by a guy named Mike Douglas. And people would call me Mike Douglas, and it would just make me so mad. I used to hate it. I don't know why. Like, as I look back as an adult, it's just like, what's Mike Douglas? Big deal. But it used to just get me so irate to be called Mike Douglas. Yeah, Mike Douglas. And it's like, right? But I think that's kind of the closest. And then now my father-in-law, when he writes cards to me, instead of writing Doug, he always puts an H on the end. So he writes my name as Doe. So that's pretty close to a nickname. And
yeah, that's pretty good.
My wife just labeled it. I have like a little those earpods, Apple earpods case. So she labeled it with my name and she wrote Doe on it. So it looks like that's the emerging nickname that's coming.
Yeah, sort of inescapable.
Yeah.
Totally.
What about you, Lauren? Did you ever have a childhood nickname?
Well, as a kid, they told me they call me Yanin because I called myself that when I was little because Lauren and Yanin sounded the same to me. So, there's that phenomenon where they're like, is it Laurel or Yanni? And that made so much sense to me because I could hear both because I called myself Yanin as a kid.
Oh yeah, that was that internet thing.
Yeah, Yanni or Laurel.
Yeah, which is it? Yeah. So, that's really interesting. Well, I guess my next question was going to be, what's your favorite word? But now I know.
Yawning.
Laurel, yawning. Do you have a favorite word, Lauren?
I like vernacular.
Oh.
I just like saying that word.
It's a good word.
I don't know why.
That's a fun one. How about you, Doug? Do you have a favorite word?
I don't know. I feel no, I don't. I like words. I like the word food.
Yeah.
I like that word a lot. Food's a good word, but I don't know if it's the word I like or whether it's the food.
What it means.
Yeah.
That's a great word because you can, it's just like, you really draw it out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Although words with like hard consonants on it, like P's and K's, those are always satisfying to say.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like puck. Mm-hmm. That's a good word.
How would you describe your perfect day?
There's like two versions of this. There's the version of like this ideal version of who I am, right? Where I like wake up and I exercise and I meditate and I have all, but like, I don't really want to do that. I just want to be at a beach and not do anything. Just like lie around. Get some gigs.
That sounds pretty good. Like lying around on a beach, and in the warm sun, that's a pretty perfect day. You dive into the water. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Well, careful with that diving. Yeah,
yeah, right. Sorry, I forgot where we started for a minute there. Yes. Slip into the water in a very responsible way. Lately I've been spending a lot of time in my garage just tinkering on different things that I've had around in my life for years, whether it be an old clock or an old electric fan or just doing stuff that my wife and I moved here like 11 years ago, and I brought all this stuff with us, stuff that I'm going to fix this one day. And then the pandemic has kind of given me an opportunity to work on that stuff. And it's kind of like my meditation now. It's kind of like my sort of solace from this situation we're in, to just like take something that isn't working, try to figure it out, watch some YouTube videos, and then get it working if you can. So
wow, that's so great because I've been learning a lot about sustainability and just making things last and fixing things instead of always needing new things to just throw more stuff away. So that's a remarkable skill.
Oh, thank you. And the other thing I'm starting to notice about this too is that these objects, without getting too sort of whatever here, also are kind of like they're full of all of these memories and of times past and events and stuff like that you don't realize until you're actually kind of like spending time looking at them and thinking about them and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of like it's a great way to sort of like, these objects that we take for granted are kind of like our silent witnesses that kind of witness everything in our life. And it's like to refurbish them. It's kind of like, therapy in a way. Do you know what I mean? As you kind of like reflect back on your previous life. So
that's
lots of benefits there.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Cheers.
Sometimes I like to mess with my guests and tell them their answer was wrong, but I won't do that.
Yeah, wrong answer. No, next. Bullshit.
Okay. If you could try another profession other than your own, other than what you're doing, what would it be?
To be a lawyer, of course. Just kidding. I mean, if I had ever met a happy lawyer, then I'd pick that. I mean, someone happy. I think that you're a happy lawyer, but maybe not doing.
It's too much reading in law, right? You have to read a lot.
Oh God! And it seems like just the stapling and hole punching every little thing. Like, oh my God!
Yeah, I can handle the reading. It's the stapling just wears me out.
Hole punch on the top? I can't.
Yeah. Like, what is that? What are you like? Yeah, yeah. That seems like a really intimidating profession too, with a lot of responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Like even thinking about this case that you read earlier, like the responsibility the lawyers must face when there are such severe consequences to an action. And it's like, you know, neither one of those guys deserve, like obviously Harper doesn't deserve what happens to him, and Herman, you know, there's no way you can anticipate that something like that's going to happen on your boat. And having to sort of argue to get to a conclusion, that's like a nightmare to me. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to sleep.
I don't have the emotional bandwidth or the ability to turn off the emotions to be like, well, it's just business.
Yeah.
I've been told that I should be a psychiatrist by people that tend to tell me too much. But yeah, again, that's a lot of like science. I took Psych 101 or tried in college, and they really weed you out with like neurons and protons and like, just get to the crazy people. You can't do this part.
And you have to have empathy for people too in that job.
Oh yeah,
that's really hard. Care about other people?
I'm too good at that.
Yeah.
What? You need groceries? I don't know. I don't have any, but here you go. I think I envy that, like, they've gotten really good at setting boundaries because that's what they study.
And wouldn't you like to end conversations like that? And that's our time.
Right.
At parties?
Like, you're like on the phone with somebody and like, so that's my time.
Okay.
Can we connect again in about 14 days?
I guess. Oh, okay. See ya. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just mid-sentence, or even like they'll call it a minute before to like, no, just.
Yeah. Go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
What about you, Doug? If you could do another profession, what would it be?
I think it would be something outdoorsy. And this is going to sound a little weird, but maybe something like a forest ranger or something like that, where you're just out there in nature, just taking care of a park or whatever it is with the animals and stuff, kind of carefree, very little paperwork. I imagine, I anticipate that there's not a lot of, you know what I mean? I think something like that would be quite satisfying, you know.
That's a great answer.
That's a good answer. Tell me something that you believe to be true that almost nobody agrees with you about. Something you believe to be true that almost nobody agrees with you about.
I don't want to get too controversial here.
I know. It's everyone.
Hey, you know what?
Like,
it's a podcast. It's going to be weeks. Could be political.
Wow, that's so tricky. Something that nobody. Well, obviously the Earth is flat, so let's just get that out of the way.
Just say, no argument there.
Like, no, I have enough crazy friends that believe that too, so I can't say that. This is what's so tricky about your question, is because truth is so subjective that there's some yakko believing something somewhere. I can't help myself when I'm at the grocery store. I'll never pick the first thing because I think I have some core belief it's been overhandled, and so I'll reach for the second or third one back, and that makes me look a little nutty out there, especially when COVID, some people are super touchy about touching too many things, and I'm like, no, I had to touch this because everybody's touched that. I don't think prisons should be a thing. I don't know. Like, I wish there was a way to just rehabilitate people or make them contribute some way until they figure out how they want to contribute.
You know, you just reminded me of a thing that happened up in Canada a number of years ago that if it had happened here in the States would have been entirely different. And it's a horrendous story, right? And you probably saw it on the news when it happened, but there was this bus going across Canada, dropping people off, and it stops every once in a while and picks up new people, lets other people on. And there was one guy who had a psychotic event, and he went crazy on the bus, and he stabbed and killed a guy and took out his heart, ate part of his heart, right?
Holy
went crazy. The police, basically evacuated everybody else off the bus. And this guy was parading up and down the thing, the aisle of the bus. And then eventually they got him out. They took him to a psychiatric prison. They treated him. And then within a few years, he was released again, given freedom, right? Because he was now medicated and had therapy and stuff like that. And he's kind of, as much as you can, living a normal life now, right?
Wow.
But I can't imagine that happening here, that this guy would ever have seen the light of day again.
Wow. Right? That kind of shows that it is possible, right?
And, you know, what he did was horrible, but in some ways, and maybe this is something that, you know, like, I don't know if there are court cases about this stuff, but it's like his brain chemistry was at a certain level that he couldn't control his actions in a way. And when he's medicated properly, he doesn't have these violent tendencies at all. Right. And so that half of him is never a violent, dangerous guy.
That makes so much sense. I think every issue that is an issue stems from mental health, right? Like, why would somebody be this desperate? Why did somebody do drugs? Why did somebody?
Right.
It's like, and there's no strong structure in this country to get help when you really need it. I had a call. I was worried. I had somebody that was making suicidal threats. I had met this person recently. I didn't know what to do. I called the suicide hotline. They're like, well, I don't know. I'll call the cops, I guess. And I send the cops over. And like, that's not what, like, I don't want to call the cops, but there's nobody else. And
what do you do?
And cops call me and say, I don't know. He's not answering the door. I guess it's not here. It's like, so yeah. But that kind of like, I feel like we punish people for being sick instead of, but yeah, this country got a long way to go because everybody's got to get some kind of blood justice, you know, that we're still keeping people to death.
I mean, a lot of crimes are crimes of either poverty, addiction, or mental health. And, you know, we put them in a system that doesn't help any of those issues.
Yeah, that it makes it worse, and then you get tortured in prison and put in isolation, and everything gets worse. God.
So this is the kind of comedy we're looking for.
No, it's just this. That's what I love about this format is that it's like we get to know each other. We connect. There's a connection, and then it's like we can start talking sometimes about things that you might not jump into right away. If that was the first question, I don't think that would have been the answer. I'm going to make this the last question because we've, gone deep and covered a lot. What do you wish you had known when you were a kid?
Oh, don't stress so much. I would freak out in 5th grade if I got a B because I thought I wouldn't get into a good college. And nobody told me nobody looks at elementary school grades, Lauren. I could have had so much more fun.
Yep, definitely. I agree with you. Like, we put so much pressure on yourself, and it doesn't matter, right?
I remember filling in my college application, like even up until the point I was 17. Like, what do you mean they're not going to see all the clubs I was in 6th grade? What was the point?
I think I think what I wish I knew is that everybody else is faking it too. Nobody knows what they're doing. You're not the only person who doesn't know what you're doing. Everybody doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh, God, that's a good one.
It would have taken the stress out of so many situations as well.
Finally starting to realize that because I'm in my 30s and now I'm looking around like, oh, wait, everybody running things is like, these kids are my age now. So I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody fucking knows. The government, everybody's like, call it a day, I guess. Yeah. That's good.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have to stress. You don't have to be as perfect as you think you have to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was saying, like, what we just did, like, in terms of improv, it's like, there are moments like, where the hell is this going? And then it finds a way, right? It always finds a way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you bring that attitude into life. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, having a job where it's important to be right a lot, improv has been really important for me because it's like, you gotta fail. You gotta, be okay with being wrong. And like, what? You fucked up your improv scene. Like, what's going to happen to you? Nothing.
Yes. Right.
You totally bombed that improv scene. And it's like, okay, well, it's over.
Yeah.
It's like, we got to,
The room just got quiet. That's the worst that happens, right?
Yeah.
Wow, there's no laughs.
you're like, so my zombies eating human brains bit's not as funny as I thought.
Yeah. Okay. But I guess it's pretty important to get it right when you're in front of the judge.
Yeah.
Those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got your back. I mean, something different in court, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to do a whole thing, improv for lawyers, because there's a lot of things, that can be learned, like listening, paying attention, taking cues, being aware, and being okay with failing, being okay with making mistakes. Like I said, I think at some point about law school takes risk-averse people and makes them even more risk-averse. Comedy is about taking risks and being out there. So I want to give you both just a chance to shamelessly self-promote. Where can people find you on the internet, on the socials, whatever? What would you, if someone is like, oh my God, I want to find out more about Doug, or I want to find out more about Lauren, where can they find you?
Well, I do have a website, DougMorency.com. If you're looking for me, the Williamson Playboys, who I do a musical duo with, we have a Facebook page. You can check us out there. And then other than that, I'm hiding from you. I don't want to see you.
I've been hiding a lot this year. Yeah. I took a break in my personal socials, but when they're back, it's at Lorange Mike. That's orange with an L and then an MIC at the end. That's because if I was one of those three, my middle initials J, so nothing rhymes with orange, but Lorange Michaels. Anyway, but what is open, what I should really promote is Sweet Relish Films, Facebook page and Instagram at Sweet Relish Films. It's been kind of on a hiatus with quarantine, but we're looking to get back out there, refocus. So go ahead and stalk me and stuff. There's YouTube stuff. Lauren Michaels stand-up. Just like search it. I don't know. See what comes up. We'll see. Tell me what you find.
Well, I want to thank you both. I want to thank you, Doug Morency and Lauren Michaels, for being on the show today. Laying Down the Law is a product of Beyond Unreasonable Doubt, produced by Jeffrey Feitner and Verboten Production. Our music is Galactic Damages by Jinglepunk. Our cover art is courtesy of The Mighty Q. I want to thank our listeners. If you've enjoyed the show and you're still listening, please tell a friend, subscribe, write a review, share the information, leave us a rating of 5 stars or higher. Please, it helps us reach more ears. If you're not enjoying the show, I'm a little confused why you're still listening. Maybe you're a masochist, I'm not sure. Feel free to tweet at me at Max Headroom Esquire with questions, comments, or suggestions. I may or may not respond because I recently watched The Social Dilemma and I'm totally freaked out. I'm your host, Billy DeClercq, aka Max Headroom Esquires, and I am a knight in slightly dented armor. Thank you.